Hey everybody, welcome back to Sons of Cinema. My name is Ron, and today we have a very special guest. He's a writer, director, composer, champion of free speech and artistic expression. I'm excited to talk to him about his latest film, Dark Cherry. Please welcome friend of the show and friend of the channel, Michael Entity.
Going.
How's it going?
Good man, good. It's good to be here, man. How you doing though?
I'm good. Just for full disclosure, we do know each other, uh,
We do.
and we've been planning this for a while. Um, but I'll let you take over here. So, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. How did you get into writing and directing? Like, what was your inspiration, and what films inspired you?
Yeah, so believe it or not, guys, Entity is not my real last name. I know, big shocker. I My real name is Michael Scott Tracy Jr. My dad's name is also Michael Scott Tracy. Funny enough, Scott is actually the name of my uncle who I never met, who passed away. And my mom had always said whenever she has a child, she wants their middle name to be Scott. And it was just a very weird coincidence that my father's middle name also happened to be Scott. So it kind of worked out in an interesting way. But I was born in Mesa, Arizona, grew up there most of my young life, and grew up probably the rest of my child life and my teenage life in Chandler and Gilbert, Arizona. I was raised by both of my parents for the most part until they got divorced in 2007. So I kind of went back and forth from seeing my dad and seeing my mom. Thankfully, I have a great relationship with both of them. They're both awesome people. And I started to get into movies at a very young age. I did not get very serious about movies, like as far as like wanting to study filmmaking and wanting to actually do movies, probably until I was maybe a junior in high school. But growing up, movies that I really had on a lot as a kid was like the Land Before Time movies. Yeah, all 15 of them. I don't even know how many there are right now. The live action Scooby Doo films. Yeah, not something you would expect to hear from a film buff. You probably would expect the classics, but no, kids were not watching Citizen Kane at 5 years old.
Yeah,
I
you
don't know.
got to start somewhere, man. So,
Yeah,
are you
exactly.
saying the first time that you felt like you wanted to write or direct something was directly related to watching like Land Before Time movies or animated films?
Not quite. As I started to get older, I started to get into like movies, like Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, which is kind of funny because the first Back to the Future I saw was the second one, which I remember when I discovered that VHS, my mom told me what Back to the Future was about. And she's like, oh, yeah, it's about a teenager who goes back in time and sees his mom and dad as teenagers. So I watched part two and I'm like, what, what the fuck is going on? Like,
What did I
I
miss?
don't know, man. Exactly. Like, did I miss something? Like, I don't know, man. But either way, I was entertained by it. But then as I started to get older, I made some friends and everything like that in elementary school. And then, we had like made a lot of like really crappy short films. Mostly, if anybody remembers flip video cameras, the little cameras were like, it would have a flash drive attached to the camera itself, and you can press record on it just like that. Those things were awesome, by the way. Bring those back, by the way. I mean, those were awesome. But we made a lot of like really crappy short films. Most of them that unfortunately don't exist anymore because they were on YouTube, and channels got deleted, or it was on people's computers, and those computers are long gone. But the very very first short film I did was a little film called The Kill Shift, which was about two brothers that are serial killers, and they all take shifts for killing. Like the oldest brother takes the morning kill shift and the youngest brother takes the night kill shift. It was pretty dumb. And the parents didn't want us to actually use real knives, so we'd have to use like screwdrivers and tinfoil that was shaped like a knife. It was stupid, but obviously you got to start somewhere, man. We liked it for what we did, and then as I started to get older, once I joined high school and everything, I ended up joining multimedia and film, which is where like I started to progress a little bit more into like me liking
Mhm.
movies. But before then, I wasn't like a cinephile at that time. I was just doing multimedia and film because I just enjoyed films, but I mostly was interested in music. I did try to do a couple bands. They never really worked out. We never really did anything as far as music goes. Um, and then at one point, I tried to be a rapper, which a lot of my old rap videos that I did are on my old YouTube channel, which unfortunately is gone, but we'll get into that later.
Don't knock it, man. Like, I watched a couple of those videos that you did when you were like a stick figure, and I enjoyed it, man. There was one I think that you were like doing a video around like a car. It must have been around your driveway or something. I had it on my I had it saved on my YouTube channel until it was taken off. But uh, let's roll into that real quick. So um tell everybody about what happened with your film Dark Cherry, which we're here to talk about today. Tell them what happened with YouTube. Um, please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So, honestly, unfortunately, I think your guess is as good as mine. To this day, I still don't know the reason, but to anybody, to people that are watching this right now, um, basically, I had a YouTube channel for almost over 10 years. I used that to like upload vlogs and like short films that I did for school, which is really sad that I'll never be able to see those again unless someday YouTube just randomly puts the channel back.
Right.
Basically, what ended up happening after I uploaded my film Dark Cherry, which premiered a couple months before, or like a month before, it was getting a lot of great feedback. I think at that point we were over 4,000 views, which was insane. I did not think that many people were going to be watching it because there were only like less than 200 people at my film premiere, which
Right.
was really cool. Um, so, and then a couple days later, the video got taken down as long as my YouTube channel. And I got an email saying that my channel went against the guidelines and it was promoting scamming, which I was really confused. I'm like, well, what am I? What am I scamming? Like,
Right.
what's the scam? What's the scam? I say a movie's good. The person goes, Michael lied. That movie sucked. I'm gonna report him. Like, I don't understand
Well,
what the
it's your
scam was.
film. It's your movie. Like,
Yeah,
how are
yeah,
you
I don't
scamming
know, and
anybody?
and at first I didn't think it had anything to do with Dark Cherry, and it's still not confirmed or anything. It's just kind of a conspiracy theory, whatever you want to call it. But then I did a new channel also under Michael Entity, and I uploaded Dark Cherry again, and then a couple days later, got taken down again. So I'm like, that can't be a coincidence, especially since I had that channel for over 10 years. The channel gets deleted after I upload Dark Cherry, and then the same thing happens when I upload a new version of Dark Cherry on another YouTube channel. I'm like, that can't be a coincidence. It must have something to do with that, which I
Right.
just wouldn't find it hard to believe because I mean, there was a time when a Serbian film, which if you guys have seen a Serbian film, then you know what I'm talking about. A Serbian film at one point was on YouTube
It
for
was?
free to watch.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Wow.
for free to watch for the longest time. So if that was allowed on YouTube, then why wouldn't mine be allowed?
And your film actually shows less than a Serbian film does. Not that it showed, any of the really graphic stuff, but your film is more like that as well. It's like you have to kind of imagine in your head what's happening through the
'Cause
sounds,
ex
you know?
exactly, because that's what I was trying to do with Dark Cherry, like, I wanted to be able to, which everybody might look at me like crazy. I'm actually kind of a fan of a Serbian film, not for those
No, I
scenes
like it.
specifically, but I do like the risks that it takes to really show the true evil, because it is a very risky movie, and I understand why it was banned. I wanted to do something similar, but I didn't want it to just be like a shock fest. I wanted to actually tell a compelling story, but only show what I needed to show.
Right. And then that's what the film accomplishes. I have a theory that I think because of the subject matter, and we can get into that in a second. I think because of the world we live in now and the subject matter, I just think that YouTube, shame on them.
Yeah.
They didn't want to take a chance on, on people, complaining about this subject matter. That being said, um can you explain to the audience what Dark Cherry is about? Can you also please explain what the name means? Give a little brief synopsis, please.
Yeah, I was the reason I was laughing when you said please explain it is because when I did a Q and A at the Dark Cherry premiere, I can't really find a video of it, unfortunately. I really wish I had somebody film that entire Q&A. Definitely not going to mess that up on the Barrett premiere, which we'll also get into a little bit later. Um, but I actually asked that question, can anybody tell me what the title means? And nobody could guess it right. At one point, somebody had mentioned like a cherry getting popped. I'm like, well, I mean, I guess, I mean, the movie does have to do something similar with sex, but not quite. But anyways, so the movie Dark Cherry is about a character named Lane Heading, who, fun fact, Lane Heading is actually a mixture of two things. Lane, the name Lane comes from Lane Staley, one of my all-time favorite singers,
I figured that.
and
Yep.
yep, and then Heading is actually the last name of my uncle Mark, my mom's brother. So I kind of just fused them together. So it's about a guy named Lane Heading who's kind of an introvert well, he's not a police officer anymore. He's a former police officer who kind of lives as an introvert now and mostly just lives his life working from home for a company that we don't really get to know what it is. I actually had a lot of people ask me, what does Lane even do for a living? It's like, that's the thing you're worried about the most? Like, who cares? The point is he works from home. But he has this whole dark past, which spoilers, I mean, you guys, I'm assuming you guys must have seen the movie at this point, but spoilers ahead, hand up, starting now. But basically, he was a police officer who was called to a hostage situation during an attempted robbery, and he was kind of a rookie cop and didn't really know what to do at that situation. And his actions ended up causing this little girl to get killed, and ever since then, he's just been a total mess. He drinks, he like is basically almost drinking himself to death, especially that scene where you see him taking a shot of Everclear and you see all those
Yeah.
bottles in his apartment and everything, which was like really nasty and everything. Um, and he ends up having to care for his niece, who is his sister's daughter, and she had overdosed on heroin. And basically, he now has to become like the guardian for her, which is something he doesn't really know how to do, and he's almost kind of afraid to do. Um, and at one point, they start to bond slowly as time passes, but then she ends up getting kidnapped by an online predator. So now Lane kind of has to jump back into his old police life, not to actually become a police officer, but kind of use like his old skills to kind of find out exactly what happened to her, which ends up leading him into this dark underground world of pornography, and child trafficking and stuff, which is very similar to, which it was definitely heavily influenced by movies like 8 millimeter with
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage and Hardcore with George C. Scott.
That I thought throughout the movie I was thinking of 8 millimeter the whole time. Yeah. Um,
One of my favorites.
right. So how did you come up with this story?
Well, I mean, me loving those movies specifically, especially Hardcore, which if you guys have never seen Hardcore, this is not a any way to get off topic, but Hardcore with George C. Scott, I mean, how could you go wrong? But anyways, I've just always been a big fan of like 70s, specifically 70s and the 90s. When you really think about it, were like the two decades that were like really known for doing a lot of like mystery type thrillers. I've always been a big fan of those kind of things, especially crime thrillers. Those are like some of my favorite genres of films. And I really wanted to do something similar because it's a story you don't really see a whole lot. I mean, there's not a lot of movies that really tackle the world of snuff films and illegal pornography for good reasons, because it is a very horrible and hard subject to handle. But I also wanted to kind of add some elements to modern days where, like, when you think of Hardcore and 8 millimeter, that was like mostly them like going to underground clubs and like discovering a lot of these nasty things, which is what we did in the film as well, as kind of like an homage to those movies. But I also wanted to kind of go over like a little bit of the dark web on, a lot of people, there's lots of stories about, the dark web, on how like, a lot of like really fucked up motherfuckers will like engage in encrypted chats. There was this whole urban legend about a thing called red rooms, which would be like live streams of like people getting killed, which people say has been debunked, but it really hasn't. So I wanted to be able to tell like a modern age story like that. Like, how would that go in the future? Because it seems like that wouldn't really happen nowadays. But honestly, how like how the world has been as far as like having some really horrible people. I mean, there's people like this every day, and I wanted to be able to tell a movie
Right.
that kind of had a message in that sense, but without shoving the message down the audience's throat. Which, not to give shit on the movie Sound of Freedom, I thought that was a very well made movie, but it was a little bit heavy handed on like child trafficking is wrong. It's like, well, we know child trafficking is wrong. You don't have to keep forcing it down our throats. So I wanted to be able to tell that message, but also just give a very compelling story about a man who made a really horrible mistake and is now trying to redeem that to continue thriving forward in life. So that's kind of how I
Right.
got the inspiration.
So I kind of got, because now that you've explained it from the subject matter, I figured it's just one of those things because of, Epstein and all this other crap that's coming out about what,
Yeah.
adults and child pornography, whatever. Like, I just think that, everyone's just sweeping it under the rug. So I think that, they're ignoring it. And so I think that YouTube would just wanted to play it safe and just like, you know what, because there's absolutely nothing in this movie that is uh, offensive or disgusting. Like you said, it's just telling a story of a redemption film, and it turns into kind of a Taken film that turns into an 8 millimeter film. Like it it's well done, by the way. I should say I didn't mention that
I,
before, but
I
I
appreciate that.
really, yeah, I loved it, man. And I told you right away. I was like, dude, I loved it. I needed a copy of it. I was like, look, I need
Ah,
a
there it
copy.
is.
Yeah. So um yeah, like I said, the film is well done. And if you haven't seen it, you can check it out. We'll explain later where to watch that at.
Yeah.
But so I noticed that you compose the music in the film, and you said earlier that you had started some bands and you were in some rap videos that you did. So you're kind of like a John Carpenter. Do you is music like your main love? Do you like doing the composing of scores, or is it just something you do for fun? Like, how serious are you about your music?
So, as far as music goes, but before I answer that, I do have to answer the other question that we had of what the title Dark Cherry means.
Hmm.
So, I'll do that real
Oh
quick. So,
yes, yes.
basically, at first it started off where like I was just at one day I was just coming up with like cool titles for a movie, and I was like neon something dark cherry, like, oh, that actually kind of sounds like cool. It almost sound could sound like a cool band name. But then at one point when I started to write the script for Dark Cherry before it officially got its name, I ended up doing research and about like kind of interesting actually. There's like this whole thing where like each fruit like represents like something, like it has a deeper meaning, like they say like an apple represents hope. I don't know if that actually what it is, but a dark cherry is supposed to represent a guardian, which is basically what Lane has to become for his niece. And I'm like, that's actually really cool. And it's interesting because when you think of a title Dark Cherry without even knowing the plot, you're kind of, I mean, it's not like Taken where it's like, okay, the title Taken, like maybe it has to do with somebody that was taken, or 8 millimeter, okay, maybe
Right.
it has to do with an 8 millimeter tape. Dark Cherry, that's kind of a very ambiguous title. It could be anything.
I thought from the title, I thought it was like a horror film, um, which I guess if you want to look at it from a realistic point of view, is very terrifying. Who wouldn't be terrified from their kid being kidnapped? And
Of
especially,
course, that's a horror movie.
yeah, yeah. So, but it's kind of more of a almost like a thriller. But when I saw, like I said, when I saw the title, I thought it was a horror movie.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But going to the music composing, as far as composing music, I'm not an expert or anything like that. Like, I can't even write a note, which I mean is what John Carpenter has said too. Because I didn't compose like all of the music. It was mostly just like the main soundtrack. Like for example, the theme song for Dark Cherry, the do 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 do
Yes,
do, which is really catchy by the way. I really like that.
I had that in my
That
head
was
all
based.
night.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's a catchy one. I basically the inspiration for that is I was trying to replicate the theme song to one of my favorite horror films, which I think is underrated, called Dead Silence. I wanted to replicate the music, the do 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 do
Mhm.
do 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 do. I was kind of trying to replicate something very similar. Um, and what I ended up doing, which I didn't have a piano by the way, I ended up using a music program where you can use the keyboard as like a as a way to like play the actual musical keyboard.
Oh,
So basically, I was just typing on my computer, going do 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 do, and I wasn't really good at it. I was kind of like the rhythm that like I just couldn't get down. So it took a lot of editing to get that down. And if you listen to the music, sometimes it might sound slightly wonky. And then as far as like the really dark stuff you hear in the background going dun, dun, that was basically just me hitting the low parts of a piano and just
got it.
making the pitch lower to make it sound like that. Whereas other stuff was mostly stuff that I was able to acquire like the rights to use. But specifically for that, that was only like the rising music. And when I say rising music, I mean whenever it's just like it's just doing that. That was stuff that I didn't do. But as far as like the main theme, and then like the jump scare music that I did and all that stuff, that was all me. And it was just a combination of doing it with programs like Audacity. At one point, I had a friend of mine that helped me using like FL Studio. I think that's what it's
Uh,
called. Um, but yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And for my upcoming film Barrett, I have been doing some of the music for it, but a lot of it is also just like people that I've reached out to that are like helping me with it. And even so, I'm willing to say it. I know people say AI has no place in filmmaking, which I do agree. As far as like writing and stuff like that, I think it's a really stupid idea to replace AI, to replace actual human writers with AI. I think it's a bad idea. But there's been a couple times, especially when I ever did short films, like I would end up using Suno AI, which would kind of help me make music because sometimes it's just really hard like to make music even if you want like for horror movies it's kind of easy to make like typical like horror movie music, like it's so easy
yeah.
to do stuff like that. But as far as like making actual music, like sometimes I've had luck using AI for that aspect, and it's nice because you do get to own the rights, which very fun fact, by the way, to people who have seen Dark Cherry, the rap song that you hear playing during the strip club scene, that was a whole AI song.
Really? I thought it was for sure like somebody famous because I don't know who the
Right.
hell rappers are
Yeah,
these
yeah,
days, but I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
"Oh, that's awesome." That because that's a cool
yeah.
song.
Exactly. And I'm willing to admit it to people. I'm not going to say like, "Oh yeah, I did this." It's like, no, like I'm willing to admit some of the music was AI generated. I know there might be people saying like that's very cheap of you, but it's like, okay, well look, I don't have $1 million
Right.
budget, and I'm not going to spend what $300 to have the rights to use like somebody else's music. Like sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but as far as using AI to write a script or like compress like a story, like going on ChatGPT, hey, I have these actors standing right here. What should I do with the camera? Like, I don't do any of that. That's where like I really push the limits.
Right.
But yeah, but as far as music goes, yeah, that's basically all I can say. I know I went on a big tangent, but yeah,
No, it's cool. Well, my take on AI, um, I get that people, don't like it, but like when you got somebody who's untalented like me, I don't know how to make music. I don't know how to make, I don't know how to film, maybe like a beginning, an intro to a show. AI gives people that have those, problems that don't know how to do this, but would love to be creative. It gives them kind of an outlet to be creative. And I guess, sorry, we didn't go to school to learn how to make, music and compose, but it's an easy way for somebody who's interested in a certain topic to get into it. So I kind of dig AI. Especially in making music, because like you said, it's, you don't have time to, or $1 million to compose some kind of great, cinematic score, but you can do something cool that matches your film with AI. And by the way, I think the music in that movie is on point. Like,
I
and
appreciate
especially the
that.
the main theme. Like I said, I watched this again last night, and I had the main theme in my head all night. I went to sleep with it. I woke up with it in my head, and it kind of reminded me of that John Carpenter-ish type of, dee dee, dee, like the Halloween theme. It's just simple
Yeah,
notes, but it was perfect, and it really was. It made the film more ominous, and I enjoyed it. So,
I
kudos to you
appreciate
with the
that.
music, man. So tell me, like, how did you find the actors in Dark Cherry? And like, what's the process? Do people have to read for you, or did you go out and seek these actors?
So, as far as the character Lane, I wrote that role specifically for Johnny. I did not audition anybody to play Lane. I met Johnny on a project that I was doing at the same time while I was working on another film called Riley, which is a boxing film, which is on Amazon now, which is really cool, actually. But I met Johnny when I was filming this horror film called Heresy. I was filming with a very good actress friend of mine, Alex Gordon. I was filming with her. She was actually the lead in that. And we were basically done with the film, but unfortunately, for reasons that are still just kind of mixed in my head, I still don't know how it happened. The footage unfortunately got lost, and at one point, the only thing that existed was like the first 15 minutes of the movie, which was on my old YouTube channel, but that's gone now. I think it is actually still on my Facebook page though, so I might actually like upload it again just so that way people could see what it could have been. I met Johnny on that set, and we just kind of became friends there. But at the point when I was writing Dark Cherry and when I approached him for the role, we weren't like best of best friends. We were just kind of like hey man, how you doing kind of thing. And as we started to like work on as I was like writing the project continuously, and like when we got to the final draft and he was all board for it, like we became like really close friends to the point where I consider Johnny family now. I love that guy to death. And fun fact, we are actually going to be doing a movie commentary on the new Blu-ray, which once again we
Nice.
will get into very soon. But love Johnny. But as far as other actors, there were some where I was just kind of like, "Hey, man, do you just want to be in this movie?" And they're like, "Sure." But specifically, the one role that I definitely auditioned for, I definitely had someone audition for, was the character Sabrina, because I knew for a fact out of all characters, she was going to be the most important person to cast. And we had about maybe five or six girls that auditioned to play Sabrina, and a lot of them were good. A lot of them did okay. There were some where I was like, you know what, you're a good actress, but I just don't think you're the right role. Like we had one a girl who I won't name or anything, but she was like an ASU student, and at one point she auditioned, and she was a really nice girl and everything, and she definitely had charisma. But I'm like, I don't see you as a stripper. Like that just doesn't really work. Not saying that's a
Right.
bad thing. Like I'm not calling you ugly, because I mean there's plenty of ugly strippers. I wouldn't know.
Me either.
But what? So I sure.
Mm.
But we got the tape from Melissa Rakuski, and right when we saw her audition tape, me and Johnny looked at each other and said, I basically told almost kind of in unison, that's our Sabrina. I reached out to her, I offered her the part, and she knocked it out of the park, man. I was so impressed with how she did that role. And a lot of people also really loved her performance as well, which was something I was hoping for, because she's a very complex character, very similar to Lane. She's almost kind of like a doppelganger for Lane, except she's a female. So I really, really enjoyed her performance. But as far as all the other actors, yeah, a lot of them were just kind of people that I hit up. Some of them were done. Some of them were like messaged personally by my producer Victoria Monster, who Victoria Monster's daughter Nevaeh Monster is actually playing Victoria in the movie. Which obviously, where did I get the name Victoria? Yeah, I'll let you think about that.
Yeah, well, she's awesome in the movie.
She
Um,
is
Johnny is awesome in the movie. He chews the scenery, and especially James Yaw.
James Yaw.
He chews the scenery in his short little scenes, but he's awesome in the movie too.
And I got a fun fact about James Yaw. So funny enough, so I've known James Yaw for a while now. He first project I worked on with him was Riley, and so I was actually supposed to film Dark Cherry with a completely different actor, who once again I won't name, but we had planned it for almost 7 months, and I told him when it was going to be, when it was, and he called me saying that like he was really sick and he wasn't able to make it, and I'm like, oh god. And he was like asking if we can change it to a different day, and I'm like, dude, I can't. I had two actors came out from California. Like, I'm not canceling it. I'm
Right.
sorry. Like, I understand you're sick. I get that, but I'm not canceling it. And I hit up James, and I'm like, James, because James only lives about maybe 5 7 minutes away from the area that we were filming
Mhm.
at. And I said, James, I hope you're not busy. um are you able to be in a scene specifically? He learned his lines less than like 15 hours.
Yeah, he was
And he
awesome in
killed
that.
it.
Yeah, he
And
did.
he had no preparation. It wasn't like he was Heath Ledger where he was hiding in a hotel room to seclude himself to make him like act like a psychopath. Like James had no preparation time whatsoever, but he pulled it off. And it's crazy because it's like James played such a despicable, disgusting character in Dark
Yeah.
Cherry. When you meet James, he's like one of the nicest guys you will ever meet.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give a quick shout out to the gentleman who played Spiral too. He was a standout in the movie as well.
Ah, Chris. Chris is just the same thing with Chris, man. Chris plays like such an unlikable person in that movie as Spiral, but Chris is just like one of the sweetest guys you'll ever meet, man. I love
Well,
Chris.
yeah, I met him before, then and he was totally different from the character. Like I was expecting
Yeah.
him to be that guy, like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, but he was
No,
a totally opposite nice guy. I was
I know it's actually kind of
acting,
crazy the
folks.
comparison. Even when you see Chris in public, even if you've never seen Dark Cherry and you've never met Chris before, you would think, oh, that guy kind of looks like a rough and tough, like Joe Pesci metalhead looking motherfucker. I'm not
Well,
making fun of his height. I'm
right.
shorter than him,
Well,
but yeah.
when I met him, that day when you were filming Barrett, he was dressed in like a polo type shirt tucked into these pants, so he kinda looked like dorky and nerdy, so, but it was the '70s, I think, right? Is it a period piece?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
took place in
so
the
he didn't
'70s.
look anything like Spiral because I was expecting, those tattoos and everything that he's in that sleeveless shirt with a gold chain,
Mhm.
so but, yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to him, and by the way, Melissa was really good in this film too, I don't wanna leave her
Yeah.
out, um, and, I so what was the hardest part of filming Dark Cherry, and, like, were there any did you run into any problems?
As far as like serious problems that made me go, holy shit, this movie's gonna be a disaster. Nothing like that. Like we ran everything like clockwork for the most part. Like we had solutions for everything. Like an example I would say is the scene specifically where the rock is thrown through Lane's window. And like it says, "Get out of our town, or we'll make you," which was a
Mhm.
slight inspiration from Halloween 5, by the way. If you guys know, then you know.
Ah,
But basically, originally that scene was actually supposed to be Lane leaving from the bar, and he comes across the uncle of the little girl that died, and basically like punches him outside the bar, and basically tells him to like get out of this town because nobody wants you. Like everybody thinks you're a fucking horrible person for what happened. And we couldn't film that scene how we wanted to, and the person said they weren't able to make it the day of filming. So I was like stressing out going, okay, how do we do this, how do we do this? And I thought, I have an idea. Maybe we could show the hatred that this town has for Lane without even really showing it. Because and we I had the idea where we wrote on a piece of rock and it gets thrown through his window, and you have that person driving by saying fuck you, Lane. Which, fun fact, that was actually Fernando who played the character Diego. That was actually funny. I just told him, hey, as you're driving off, just yell fuck you, Lane. He drives off and he like changes his voice and goes fuck you, Lane. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of
that
fun.
made me laugh. I always love when you can hear people in the background of a movie say something like, "Oh, he'll never love you," or, some crazy shit. I love that in
Oh,
movies, man.
one of my favorite ones is in Dead Presidents where Chris Tucker's like, "Hey man, tell your sister I'll see her later," and then in the distance you hear, "Man, fuck you."
That's like Eddie
Love, I
Murphy.
know, but
"Yes,
yeah,
and fuck you too." Yeah.
Yeah, but no, and that was funny because there was one person. I know some people might have been confused because people were like curious, like what was the whole thing with The Rock, and it was basically just to kind of show that this town really hated Lane because I wanted to be able to show that Lane probably isn't liked by a lot of people who thinks like he's
Mhm.
the reason a little girl died because I didn't want to go overboard and like have people writing like when they see him saying like get out of here, Lane, get
Right.
out of here, Lane, like stuff like Halloween 4 type shit. I wasn't, or Halloween ends, the
Yeah,
evil dies tonight kind of thing.
yeah,
I wasn't trying to do that. I wanted to be subtle, which I know like people are definitely going to be confused by it, but I think like people that really do pay attention and dissect the story will kind of understand. But that's one thing I wish I could have changed. But that most of the time, as far as like just difficult stuff, was just figuring out how we can improv. Like,
right.
okay, we can't do the scene like how we originally wrote it. How can we do it? But as far as like a really like serious like holy shit kind of moment, I wouldn't really say so. I think the movie ran very smooth. I mean, there was one time where we had to refilm a couple scenes, but other than that, like everything ran like clockwork, I'd say for the most part.
Nice. What was your favorite scene to film in Dark Cherry, and what is your favorite scene to watch now in the final cut?
Both answers for this. The strip club scene. That was so much fun.
All right.
Uh,
Okay, that
I'm
makes a lot
sorry.
of sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I well, and it's well, funny enough. So the strip club scene, it wasn't the most fun to film for the reasons people might think. I
right,
think it was just because of the fact that like originally we were supposed to film at a strip club in Scottsdale because there was this manager that wanted us to film there. But then last minute, the owner just didn't want anybody filming there, which I respected their wishes. Even though I was offering to pay them, I still respected the wishes and I didn't contact them again. So then, my producer on the movie, Victoria, was dating and is currently dating a good friend of mine, Matt, who used to own a bar. It was a tap room called Tap Room 120. Which, man, I miss that place so much. It had everything I wanted. It had horror movie memorabilia. It had beer. It had wrestling playing in the background. That's
nice.
all I've ever wanted in life. And he let us turn. He had like a stage area because they would also have live music, and he let us turn the stage into and like a little strip stage. Which, I mean, when you think about it, yeah, it doesn't really look like a strip club, but then again, there are so many strip clubs that always have different layouts. I mean, there's probably like really cheap ones that
Right.
like are probably
There are.
done at like a little
So I
yeah,
hear.
so
So I hear.
yeah, yeah, so yeah, we don't know. And that was a real stripper pole too, by the way. I still have that in my garage. I don't know when I'll be able to ever set that up in this room,
Well, there you go.
but yeah, exactly. Get a little private shows and whatnot. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Oh yeah.
But he let us, and then we had like a little red curtain that they would come out. And like I said, that's when you can really definitely see the budget because there was no budget for that. We didn't pay Matt any money. I mean, I definitely paid for beer while we were waiting, but other than that, we paid Matt no money. He let us do it for free. So it's like you're gonna get with what you paid for. And but
Yeah.
even still, I'm still really proud of how we did that scene.
So in the final film, when you're watching it now, is that still your favorite scene to watch?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think the reason it's my favorite to watch, once again, not for the reasons why people think,
Right.
even though it is a really nice scene, the reason I just really love it so much is because like just like how good it looks. I know there might be some assholes that say, "Oh, that looks so fake. It doesn't look like a real strip club," kind of thing. But I think like the way I did it by like moving the camera around a lot and like having like
Yeah.
reflections of like the light glaring on the camera lens, I just think it gave like this really cool look to the point where it almost does seem very believable. And then as far as my other favorite scene that I love watching is specifically where Lane freaks out on Sabrina and then finally explains the whole story about how he failed to save a little girl. That's probably the one scene that I am very proud of the most. I think that's such a powerful scene.
Yeah, yeah, you have a lot of powerful scenes in there. I think my favorite scene, there's this comedy relief scene between Sabrina and Lane when she's got him in this like Magnum PI Tom Selleck
Yeah,
Hawaiian shirt, and she says something. He's like, "Oh, you're a comedian," and he comes back with with the and well, instead of telling jokes or instead of, sucking dick, you
holding
can tell
dicks.
jokes. Yeah, or holding dicks, yeah.
You can
I
hold a
don't know, I
microphone
think I
instead.
rewound that like 5 times, man. It just made me laugh
That
every time.
That line actually got a big laugh. That's why I was actually surprised in the theater because I added like tiny little jokes here and there because with a movie like this, you have to have some levity
Yeah,
in a sense. Um, which and I think the one that had people like bursting into laughter was specifically where the Sabrina goes like, "You have suspicion written all over you," and then Lane goes, "Yeah, and you got cum all over you." So I guess we both got our disadvantages. People
yes,
were cracking up in the theater, and I'm like, "Wow, I did not expect people to laugh." Or another one is where the freaking the the girl from Child Protective Services, Christina,
yeah,
she was awesome by the way. I loved working
yeah.
with
She
Christina.
was good.
Yeah, she the part where she goes like, "Is there anything else we can talk about?" And then Victoria just goes, "Maybe you leaving."
Yes.
That got a really huge laugh too. So I was actually really surprised on the reactions we were getting in the theater, and that really made me happy.
the gentleman who was one of Lane's friends, who was one of the detectives. Uh, I think he's a Hispanic dude. Um,
Fernando,
Forgive
yeah.
me. Yeah, he was good comic relief. At there's this, the scene where they're all just kind of talking in the car, and he comes up with some good stuff too. That just it didn't feel forced. It was just like natural, like comedic,
For-
whatever. But he
yeah,
did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, Fernando's a really funny guy. I love working with Fernando because so he has his own movies that he does too. He actually just completed a sequel to one of his movies called The Rendezvous, which
Ah,
actually is on Amazon Prime if anybody wants to check that out. Independent action movie, but it's done really well. He did a sequel to that recently, and Fernando, hasn't really done like really serious dramatic roles. He
mhm,
definitely has specks of that in his movies, but he's always done a lot of like action comedy stuff, which he's really good at. But this was like the first time that I can think of. I mean, I don't know if he's other movies that he's might have done before, but this is like one of the first times where he was actually doing like a full on serious movie that wasn't really action or didn't have comedy. But I told him like I still want you to add some levity to the role. Like I don't want you to be ultra serious. And it was really fun, and it was actually really interesting because it was obviously out of his comfort zone as far as acting goes. So I really enjoyed working with him, and he's one of my best friends. So I've always loved working with Fernando, and he's awesome.
yeah. So just one more last question directed at Dark Cherry before we get into
Yeah,
some general type things. So, what are you most proud of with Dark Cherry?
the fact that the movie just got made. That's the one thing I'm proud of. The fact that the movie got made, the fact that people watched it, we got to premiere it at Pollock Cinemas, the fact that it's going to be streaming very soon, which I'm going to keep repeating myself on this. We'll get to that soon, but I think that's the thing I'm most proud of.
Nice. All right, so let's get into some general stuff because I got a million questions for you. You're doing what most people, well, in the entertainment industry would probably, or that people that are interested in entertainment and pop culture. You're doing something that most people wish they could do. And the fact that you're doing it is awesome. So I got like a million questions for you. But like
Oh,
besides well, besides financing, like what's the hardest part of overseeing an entire film?
just making sure everything goes as planned, which even on big $100 million productions, not
Mhm.
everything is going to go as planned. But no matter what, it's just that's just how life is. Like no matter whether you're making $100 million production, $100,000 production, or a $0 production, I think just the hardest part is just making sure everything goes as planned. Like, because I was nervous almost every day of filming, even if it was just a simple scene of like Lane getting out of like Johnny getting out of a car. It's just stressful. Everything is just stressful. So I think it was just really mostly just making sure everything turned out exactly how I wanted it to. And like I said, there were a couple times where we had to refilm scenes, which if you
Mhm.
guys do have the Blu-ray, which there will be a new version of that Blu-ray in the deleted scenes, you will actually see like some yeah, right there. There I don't know, Ron, did you by chance get to check out some of the special features on the Blu-ray?
I have not. I did not yet. No.
Okay.
I saw your opening, your beginning before the film, thanking everyone. But no, I have not, but I will.
Yeah. So on that special features for that one, and it also be on the other one, it does show like some deleted and extended scenes, and
Oh,
some of the deleted scenes are actually scenes that are still in the movie, but they were just refilmed with a different camera.
got you. So that was kind of leading to my next question. Do you still get nervous uh filming?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Once again, like I said, even when it comes to simple stuff, it's just always stressful because in your mind you're always thinking, "Holy crap!" Even though if everything's perfect, like when I filmed the I mean, when you were there for the scene that we filmed for my new film Barrett,
Mhm.
the '70s protest scene, there was a lot of people that were dressed up in '70s gear, and they all did a really good job. But the whole time, I just kept thinking, like as a director, like as someone who wrote the project and everything, I'm always going to be my worst critic no matter what. Even if people at the end say, "Oh, Michael, the movie's a 10 out of 10," and I'm like, I appreciate the kindness, but come on, really. But it just there's always just something stressful. But at the end of the day, like after finally seeing the footage and everything and seeing how everything came out, it does kind of relieve you. But I think no matter what you're filming, there's always going to be stress in there, no matter what.
So Have you ever worked with difficult actors, or say an actor that you cast and he ended up, or she ended up not being what you wanted or not working for your film? What do you do? How do you deal with that?
There's been a couple times from other projects, which I won't put any names or
Right.
anything like that. But I think yeah, there have been a couple times where like I wouldn't say to the point where I've had to replace an actor. But because I most except for that one with James and that one guy, which we already talked
Mhm.
about.
Right, right.
But yeah, I mean, I would say like maybe there's been a couple times where it's like, okay, like as far as filming with this person, I don't know. Like I wouldn't mind like talking to this person and hanging out with this person, but as far as working on a film again, I don't know because unfortunately, no matter what type of industry you're in, there's always going to be people with egos, and that's just how it goes. And I'm personally not a fan of people that have like self-righteous egos, like especially I'm gonna take a jab at you guys, even though I love you guys. The theater kids.
The theater
Nobody has
kids?
bigger egos than theater kids. Not all of them.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see. The
theater kids,
theater
like the
kids.
ones that do like plays and stuff. Yeah,
No, those
those
were the
ones
kids
have
we
the
beat up in
most
school.
ego.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, everybody.
Yeah,
I didn't beat up those kids.
exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
but but yeah, but no, there's definitely been a couple times where I worked with people like that. But other than that, I wouldn't say I've ever had like really awful situations while filming. But yeah, no, I think every filmmaker can definitely say this. Whether you're a filmmaker, an actor, a cinematographer, whatever you do in film industry, you're going to come across people like that. But once again, don't want to list any names or
right,
anything.
right,
But
right, right.
obviously, it's definitely going to happen. So yeah, I would definitely say yes. There, I've definitely dealt with quite a bit of people like that.
Well, then kind of the second part of that is, like you said, maybe you cast somebody that you thought would be good. Maybe they're a nice person. Maybe they're not working for the film, so you've never had to replace anyone. Do what do you do on set? Do you talk to them? Do you coach? What's your approach to that?
Yeah, yeah, as far as replacing, no, it's never been an Eric Stoltz to Michael J. Fox
All right.
situation. Which, by the way, Bob Gale, if you're watching this, which I don't think you are, can you please release the Eric Stoltz version of Back to the Future? I kind of want to see it,
That would be
please.
awesome. It really would.
It would be interesting. But anyways, um, no, I mean, there's been a couple. I think just from a director standpoint, of course, there's just been a couple times where I mean, this is always going to happen in every production where it's like, hey, that was good, but try doing it this way to like make it sound differently. Or sometimes I'll even have like actors like. I remember when we did the scene specifically where Spiral gets shot in the hand. We did that like at least 20 times because Chris is actually a singer in real life.
Oh,
Fantastic singer, by the way. And I told him like, dude, I want you to treat this as of like this is like freaking Chester Bennington doing that really long scream and giving up
I
where he
got you.
goes Mazarai. Like I can't even do that, but I told Chris try to do that, try to replicate that, and he said okay. And I said 3, 2, 1, action. And what he did ended up being the final take in the movie.
Nice. So, uh, what is your approach with actors? Like, do you give them the freedom to explore your script, or are you a stickler about, look, let's stick to the lines here?
For the most part, yeah, I do allow, and I sometimes I even allow improv as long as they're not going too overboard. But
Right.
basically, I say, hey, look, even though I wrote the script, you guys have read it more than me. So surprisingly, even though I wrote it, you guys know the characters better than I do.
Oh,
So I want you to really challenge that. Like, look, your character is despicable. Like for the character of Spiral, Spiral is a disgusting, horrible person. But he's in a way he's almost kind of similar to James Gandolfini's character in 8 mm, where even though his character in that movie is really bad, you can tell that he doesn't actually like enjoy what these guys are doing. He's
yeah.
just there for the money.
Money.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, like at one point, James Gandolfini in 8 mm, that part where he's telling Nicolas Cage what they did with the girl after, you can actually see James Gandolfini's face is like in terror because of like he thought it was really terrifying, and then he quickly goes like just blinks out of it and then goes back to just being like a heartless motherfucker because he wants to present himself that way. Because at one point he even said like, no, that shit made me disgust, like it made me sick, like I thought it was disgusting, I was just in it for the money. And that's kind of like what Spiral is. He's a guy that like doesn't necessarily like it, but he probably is just in it for the money. And that's kind of like what I told Chris to act like. And Chris even has like some little levity too, especially the scene where they're like in an elevator and like he's asking Lane like what he's into and
Right,
everything.
right,
That
right,
was
right.
another that was another scene that actually got people laughing.
Yes, and I had a question about that too, like, what was he doing? Was he feeling him out? Was he just messing with him? You know, what he says, what was it? What are you into, kitty stuff or whatever?
Like he was like he's like, "You into kids?" And he
Oh,
goes, "Nah, I'm just testing you, man. That's fucking sick, all right?" No, he was basically just fucking with him.
yeah, and you just made me think, man, Gandolfini, what an awesome fucking actor, like,
Oh, dude,
what to think of what
man.
that guy could have made from, the time of his death if he was still alive to now. Just
Oh god,
amazing
one of
shit.
my
They would have brought back The Sopranos. I just
oh
watched,
yeah.
and it's still a classic for not Surviving Christmas with Ben Affleck.
I was just about to mention that. I was about to mention the levity the not levity, the freaking versatile he has as an actor. I mean, James Gandolfini playing a sadistic psychopath and then going to like a goofy dad and surviving Christmas, which I
Yeah.
actually like that movie. I don't care what
Oh, it's
anybody
awesome.
says. I enjoyed that
Me
movie.
too. It's awesome. And how he is in True Romance.
Oh
That
yeah.
yeah, he's intense in that movie. That's intense.
Yeah, exactly, but that's kinda like what I was having him go based off, and then as far as James, I kind of gave him some similar. I kinda, like, explained to him a little bit about Peter Stormare's character in 8 Millimeter. Peter Stormare in that movie was like a fucking Dracula-looking motherfucker,
Right.
but I told him, like, "Don't be like that. Just I want you to come off as, like, a really crazy, like, evil kind of businessman in a sense, but you're also kind of like doing laughter like, "Oh, yeah." Kinda like in the '90s where they always had to have villains laugh like, "Oh," that kinda stuff, or like a Bond villain always having to pet a cat and stuff like that.
Yes, I expect you to die. Uh, so,
Exactly.
um, do you only direct horror, thriller type movies, or do you have a comedy in you or a drama or any other genre type movie?
Yeah, I mean, my next film, Barrett, is going to be a drama kind of thriller. I mean, there's some thrilling moments, but it's mostly a character drama. My other project that I'll be working on next year in October, Windhaven, that's actually going to be a detective crime thriller, a throwback to movies like Silence of the Lambs and Seven, and a little bit of The Bone Collector as well.
Oh, all right.
But as far as the comedy goes, I would really like to do a comedy. I had an idea for a comedy that I'm trying to do as like a proof of concept short film that I want to
Mhm.
film hopefully in the spring of next year called Painted Faces, which imagine the movie Detroit Rock City, but instead of them being Kiss fans, they're ICP fans.
Oh, there you go. Whoop whoop.
I Yeah, whoop whoop indeed. So freaking I would like to do a comedy and I have been writing a little bit of the script. It's just for some reason comedies are the hardest to write actually. They're so
Yeah.
hard to write.
I mean, everything's got to be a joke. It's gotta it's gotta
Well,
work.
not even just a joke, man. Sometimes it's not even just the writing. Sometimes it also has to do with the delivery of the actors too.
That's true. But like, for example, if you get somebody really serious like Gandolfini, like in Surviving Christmas, being a serious guy, but it comes off so funny, like that. I like that kind
Oh,
of comedy too.
oh yeah, because some of the dialogue in Surviving Christmas isn't really funny, but it's just like the delivery is like like I'll pay you. My family's not for sale. I'll pay you $250,000. Welcome home, son.
Yeah,
It's like when you write that on paper, it's not
yeah,
really funny, but like it's the delivery, and that's what I'm kind of getting into. It's
yeah.
just really hard to do that. But definitely I would like to do a comedy one of these days, but right now I'm just focusing on Barrett and then getting ready for next year to do Windhaven, and then I have another script that I'm currently working on right now, which probably won't film until like winter of 2027, but it's actually going to be a Christmas themed horror movie, which I'm
Oh,
very excited
I
to
love
for you
those.
guys to look forward to that.
Every
It's
Christmas, this whole
it's
month, I'm watching Christmas horror movies. I love it.
oh yeah, absolutely. This one that I'm writing is called Black Winter. But I can't wait for you guys to see Barrett, and I'm very excited to start filming Windhaven next year, which Johnny is also going to be in that movie as the lead. So very excited to film with
Awesome,
Johnny again.
awesome. So, if money was no object, what would be your dream project?
Mm, that is a really hard one. I have two actually that I've really thought deep and hard of. I would love to do, if any of my early '90s or 2000s kids remember Danny Phantom. I would love to do a live action Danny Phantom movie. I mean, there's so much you could do with that character. I would love to do like a modernized PG-13. Yes, make it PG-13 because like why make it PG? Like I would love to do a Danny Phantom live action movie. I don't think it'll happen, but if it does, that'd be really cool.
You can make it happen,
And
man.
my other
Write the
one,
script.
oh yeah. Oh, I would love to, man. That'd be such a really cool, like almost kind of like a modern, like teenage Ghostbusters type film. Even though we kind of got that in the new Ghostbusters movies, which
Yeah.
I actually liked, by the way. Don't care what anybody says.
Mm.
Um, um, and then my other one would be a comic book series that a lot of people don't really know. Even some like hardcore comic book collectors don't really know. It's an old DC comic book series called Simon Dark. It was only issued for like 12. It was like only for
Oh,
done for
yes.
12 issues, I think. Yeah, yeah. I think
I
it's
remember, yeah.
yeah, it's really cool actually. And like I said, it was a very short-lived thing. It's so short-lived, like even DC forgot about it. It's
Wasn't he
almost kind
like
of like DC's
Constantine?
forgotten child.
Sorry, wasn't he like Constantine?
Uh, kind of. Basically, he was like a human that was created, like a human experiment that was created by a cult, and and then basically he kind of just like lives in the city, and he like wears like a trench coat with like a striped shirt, wears like this mask that covers up his face because
Uh-huh.
he
Right.
doesn't really have a face, and he kills bad guys with a piano wire.
There you go. That sounds awesome.
I I think that would make a really cool, like, neo-noir type action film. Do it the same realms as Sin City, where it's in
Oh,
black and
yeah.
white, but
Yeah.
then you make the blood actually, like, colored.
That would
Like,
be awesome. Yeah.
that would be cool. That would be a dream project, and I think that would honestly be easy to kinda do if I were to get money because, like I said, even DC forgot about it. So, I don't even know if DC still owns the rights to it because they haven't done anything with the character since 2008 or
Right.
something like that. So yeah, those are
So
definitely my two passion projects I would do: Danny
got
Phantom
you.
and Simon Dark.
Got you. One more question here. So, you know, for all the aspiring filmmakers out there that have a dream of bringing their ideas to life, what advice would you give them and what would be like the first steps?
My best my best advice I can give, especially coming from somebody that's not a famous filmmaker or anything, my best advice is just make a movie of something you know you can do. Unless you do have the money at your disposal and you can actually do something decent, do something you can do. Do something like Kevin Smith. Like Kevin Smith worked at a convenience store. Make a movie about a convenience store. Or and this is similar to what Robert Rodriguez said to like a classroom of film students. Like, your dad like owns a restaurant. Make a movie about a restaurant. Or if you just have like a couple friends and you want to make a movie like a slice of life movie, do that. Like, keep it simple. Do what you know you can actually film, especially if you don't want to spend any money and you have a camera and you have maybe a microphone. Then film something that you know for a fact you can film without any second guessing if you can do it or not. That's honestly the best advice I could give.
Awesome, dude. So, what's your next projects that are coming up? And do you have a place where people can donate to your productions?
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, my next project is Barrett, which our good friend here, right here, Ron, was actually there for one of the days. He was doing behind the scenes video and photos. So my next film is going to be Barrett. And if you guys actually are curious, he does have the trailer on his YouTube channel. If you guys want to check that out,
Right.
Barrett is a character drama, very similar to movies like Sling Blade, Gran Torino, or movie with Kevin Costner. What's it called? The Perfect World.
Hmm.
Kind of like that, where it's about this guy who's kind of like a handyman in a small town, and he ends up becoming like a father figure to this young Hispanic teenager who's kind of like slowly falling into a gang life, and he kind of tries to help him get out of that life. Like I said, very similar to Gran Torino because that's almost kind of like similar to what the story of Gran Torino is, but
Hmm.
we add our own spin on it. And I don't want to get into any spoilers with it, but there's a lot to unpack with it. we've only been filming for 16 days, and so far all the footage that we've gotten that I've edited together, we're almost at an hour and 10 minutes. So I'm like, holy crap! Like we're barely halfway done. So I wonder how long this movie's actually going to be. So who knows? Maybe you guys can expect a 3 hour epic. Which please don't fall asleep in the theater if you go see it. And then, of course, next year, I did obviously mention this a little bit ago, is Windhaven, which is going to be a detective crime thriller, which is also going to star Johnny Silva and Melissa Rakusi again. So they're going to be partnering up again
Is it a
in
period
almost kind of
piece?
like it is not. It's gonna take place in modern times. But I would love to do a period piece, man. If I had the money for that, would love to do that someday. But very excited for you guys to see those projects come to life. And yeah, that's all I can say.
Cool. So where can we find Dark Cherry at now if people want to watch it?
Well, if you guys do have the deluxe edition of Dark Cherry, the Blu-ray, then you probably I don't have to answer that question for you guys because that's probably how you guys are watching this right now. But this is also going to be on Ron's YouTube channel. So if you're watching it from here, Dark Cherry is actually going through distribution right now, and it will be available to stream on Amazon Prime probably in the next 3 or 4 months. It usually depends. Sometimes distribution can take a little bit longer. Sometimes it can actually be a quick process, but we're still waiting on that right now. But then I want to say probably after Christmas time, Dark Cherry, the deluxe edition of Dark Cherry, will be available for purchase on the actual Amazon website. I will be selling it on there. But if you are in the Arizona area and you know me personally, you can also purchase it through me. So this deluxe edition is going to be actually very special. We did a couple changes to Dark Cherry, nothing gargantuan or anything,
Mhm.
but we ended up actually taking out one little specific scene that Ron actually mentioned in his review,
Oh,
specifically where the character Lane's mom, played by Gloria Jean Robertson, is watching Angels with Filthy Souls. Originally, we had that in the movie because that actual fake film is in the public domain,
uh-huh.
but I found out that like they ended up copywriting it recently, which I'm like, that's kind of weird that they randomly just did it like very soon. So like
So
we
they
can't use that
copyrighted the
clip
film
anymore.
within the film? Like,
Yeah, just recent. Yeah, apparently just recently, like I can't
oh,
use it anymore.
oh,
Which I
I
found
didn't know
interesting.
that.
Which was weird because when I did the research, I found out it was in the public domain. So that's why I put it in Dark Cherry originally as kind of like a little homage thing.
Right.
So unfortunately, you guys will not be able to see that unless you own the original Blu-ray, which Ron has with him.
Wait, so are they cutting out uh Gene's whole scene? Are
No, no,
you
no.
cutting it out? Okay.
No. We're keeping that scene because that's a very important scene that I wanted to keep
Yeah,
in
of
there.
course.
We're just taking out the part. We're just taking out the part where she's watching that movie. We've done a couple little changes with the audio, to make it sound a little
Mhm.
bit better. Music cues are different. And that's kind of just what we did as far as changes go. And there's like been a couple scenes. Oh, didn't mean to hit the microphone. There also have been a couple scenes that we've trimmed down to make the movie slightly shorter, but it's not shorter by any means. It's like shorter by like maybe a minute and a half,
Mhm.
if I being honest. But a minute and a half is very important sometimes. Like
Right.
sometimes cutting just 5 frames from a movie is actually like a big difference. So that's what we ended up doing. And the deluxe edition is also going to come with some of the special features that are on the original Blu-ray, as far as the deleted scenes, some like a blooper that we had, which is actually not in the original Blu-ray.
Mhm.
There's also like the test footage that we did, where like we were basically kind of like testing everything with the camera, the original camera that we were going to film it with. And then we're also going to be having a directors and actors commentary. We're going to have a Q&A with Melissa and Johnny on there as well. And then, of course, we are going to have exactly what you guys are watching now, which is also going to be on the Blu-ray. So there's a lot to
Awesome.
unpack with this deluxe edition, and there's also some color changes that we did, like as far as like color correction for some of the scenes. Those are some things that we've changed. So either way, I'm really excited to get this released, and in general, I'm just really excited for people to be able to access Dark Cherry a lot more easier, because I've had people message me constantly wondering when they can watch it,
Right.
and now it's gonna be a lot easier very soon.
Right. So just for everyone watching right now, so when Dark Cherry did come out originally on YouTube, I was one of those first people to watch it. And like he said, I think it was up to like in a couple days, 3,500 to 5,000 views.
It
And
was
I
insane.
did, so I worked on a review for Dark Cherry, which you can find on the channel. And I also have, Michael said, I have the trailer to Barrett. Are you going to be doing another trailer?
Yeah, definitely. Once we're like really close to being done filming, we're going to be releasing like a full new official
Mhm,
trailer to get people hyped up for the premiere, which the
mhm.
premiere for Barrett will be happening summer of 2026. But if the movie gets done a lot more quicker, then we honestly might release it probably in spring of next year.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. Are you gonna try to put it have a premiere for it in the theater?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're going to be
Cool.
premiering it at Pollock Cinemas. We've been working so hard on this movie to not have a premiere. We're definitely going to make it happen. And of course, I expect Ron to be there as well, which I know you will be.
I will. I'll be there in my tux, man. I'll be there. I'll be ready.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah, hey, again, thanks. I know you're busy, you're super busy, and, thanks for coming on and doing this. This is awesome. It's
Of
kinda
course.
you're my test subject for kind of the first interview, but, you know, you're a friend of the channel, so hope to have you on again. Maybe we can do some, some bullshitting or whatever. But thank you again.
We were bullshitting before we even did this interview,
Yes,
guys.
yeah, we were talking about wrestling. We were talking about the, Attitude Era of the WWE and
Yeah,
got
one
into
of
a
the
whole
best
thing.
eras, man.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it, and thank you guys for watching. Did you have anything else you wanted to? Oh, is there a place for people to donate for your productions? Do you have anything like that?
Not yet, but if
Okay.
you guys do want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just Michael underscore entity, Entity. If you guys can just look at my name right here that says Michael Entity. Basically, it's an underscore between Michael and entity. You can find me on Instagram, or if you guys want to follow me on Facebook, or even add me as a friend, because I'll be your friend. I don't care.
Right.
You can add me, Michael Scott Tracy Jr. That's exactly how I spelled it out. Very easy for me to find on there. So you can find me on there. You can add me on Snapchat by also looking up Michael Entity. There's many ways you can get in contact with me if you want to donate to anything. But as far as an actual like GoFundMe or like a website
Mhm.
to donate to projects, nothing official yet.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Anyway, so thanks again. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you all next time. Peace.